Buick creds before I start. So I was the lead chassis engineer back on the old Buick Rendezvous, and then I took over after launch as the program engineering manager on Rendezvous. Met several of you on the launch of the Enclave. I was the program engineering manager all the way through the development and launch of the Enclave, and now chief engineer in Regal, so I've been in the Buick family for quite some time. So what I'm going to do is lead you through what's new for the 2014 Regal, the athlete of the Buick family. I'm going to do it a little different though. I'm going to talk first about the Regal, and then go through what's unique about the Regal GS. I'm going to call it the GS just to save some words. I'm going to go pretty quickly, and then later throughout the day, if you have any questions, let me know. Nancy Huber, our program engineering manager, is here. Nancy's been on the program longer than I and can answer all your questions if I cannot. And we've got some technical experts from powertrain, from our ride handling area, and then from IntelliLink. So we'll get all your questions answered. So from an exterior perspective, styling is really the number one reason for purchase for Regal. It's been that way for a number of years. So we made some enhancements, but they're really an evolution. We didn't want to screw a good thing up. So the front end, the focus is trying to make it look a little bit more athletic, a little wider, a little closer to the ground. So new fascia, new waterfall grille, new lamps, halogen on the Regal, and then you can option up to an HID with LED signature lighting. It's got the Q now of the Buick family. From a rear perspective, a new deck lid with an integrated spoiler. When I say integrated, I mean stamped in, so the spoiler's stamped in. New rear fascia, and the fascias are unique between front and rear, unique between Regal and GS. New LED lamps, and then the crosscar chrome accent that ties the two lamps together and tries to accentuate the wider, lower to the ground stance. Powertrain is a big story for us for 2014. A new standard powertrain is the 2-liter turbo. It's different than the 2-liter turbo that we had in 2013. Provides 259 horsepower, 295 foot-pounds of torque, 2130 from a fuel economy perspective in the front-wheel drive. And that alone represents a pretty significant improvement from the 2013 2-liter turbo. That's 39 additional horsepower and 3 additional city miles per gallon. And then we have all-wheel drive, and I'll talk about all-wheel drive in a second here. Altogether, the story, I think, is the available torque. Between 1,700 and 5,500 RPM, 90% of the torque is available. So there's a really, really wide torque band that's been optimized for Regal. We also offer still the e-assist powertrain. It's unchanged from 2013, provides 25 city, 36 highway for the more fuel-efficient focused customer, and both of those engines are available with the 6-speed automatic transmission. From a chassis perspective on Regal, the front suspension is a McPherson strut. On all-wheel drive, we use our Hyper strut, or high-performance strut, which improves camber control and reduces torque steer. From a rear suspension perspective, a 4-link on the front-wheel drive, and the all-wheel drive gets an H-arm. The H-arm helps us package the all-wheel drive system in the rear. 4-wheel disc. The e-assist gets 17-inch tires and wheels. The turbo Regal gets 18s, and we happen to have, for appearance reasons, some new wheels in 2014 for Regal. So new all-wheel drive. It's a Haldex system. It's completely automatic, on-demand, electronic limited slip rear, which improves both wet traction as you'd expect, but also enhances stability and cornering capability by transferring torque to the rear wheels when necessary. It's a pretty sophisticated system, as most of them out there are right now. It takes different inputs, steering angle, wheel speed, wheel slip, and then optimizes torque and traction to keep the vehicle going in the intended direction. From an interior perspective, I'll start at the center stack of the vehicle, and then I'll work out more to the left. What's new is we really try to simplify the customer experience, really try to simplify the center stack. So there's a new 8-inch touchscreen, which is home to next-gen Buick IntelliLink. And then below that is a simplified radio control setup. I think we went from 17 knobs and buttons to 7, so trying to make it more intuitive, easier to use. Reach over, there's the volume button. Below that is a dual-zone climate control system, which is capacitive controls. And then as we move to the left, the cluster in the Regal is brand new. It's got a 4.2-inch color screen that interacts with IntelliLink. And then a new steering wheel to house the controls for IntelliLink. and put it all at the driver's easy use. So if Regal is the athlete in the family, we really look at the GS as, you know, the all-star quarterback. It's really the most sporty expression of Buick. And from an exterior perspective, again, the number one reason for purchase is styling. So what we've done is more enhancement, more evolution, new front fascia, new waterfall grille, still have the vertical air inlets, HIDs with the LED daytime running lamps are standard. And then in the rear, same deck lid, we've added an additional spoiler on the rear. The rear fascia is all brand new and unique, integrated exhaust outlets. It uses the same LED tail lamps. That bright chrome strip that connects them is a different finish, but essentially the same appearance, trying to make the vehicle appear a little bit wider and a little lower. And then the same rocker panel extensions as past model GS. From a powertrain perspective, the only engine available in the GS is that turbo. What's different, to try to highlight here, is the max torque range goes from 3,000 to 4,000, which is in the Regal, to 2,500 to 4,000, so a wider max torque range. And then also on the GS, on the front-wheel drive only, you get a 6-speed manual. The question is asked, well, why not offer that manual with all-wheel drive? And simply put, there just aren't enough takers for that, so there's no technical limitation. If the demand were there, we could put manual with the all-wheel drive, but just can't substantiate it for the number of hand raisers right now. From a chassis perspective, here's where it gets fun. From a GS perspective, hyper-strut standard on the rear suspension, the 4-link on the front-wheel drive, again the H-arm on the all-wheel drive. Then we use continuous damping control to tie those together so it seamlessly and continuously is optimizing the damper configuration to keep the vehicle level, flat, and going in the intended direction. 4-wheel disc brakes, however, we do about an inch larger front disc on the GS to house the Brembo front calipers. And then 19-inch tires and wheels are standard, and you can option up to what's on this vehicle, a 20-inch summer-only performance-rated tire. So along with, on GS, along with continuous damping control, is a system we call interactive drive control. It's unique to GS. There are 3 modes. It varies. It's really a pretty ingenious, I think, integration of suspension, steering, transmission, and all-wheel drive. And I'll blow this chart up so we can talk to this for a second. So touring mode is when you get in and don't do anything. If you were to touch the sport button, which is at the top of the center stack, it's off on the passenger side, there's a sport button. It'll increase the damping characteristics a bit, make the vehicle a bit firmer. You'll notice less body roll. And then if you're in an all-wheel drive model, you'll notice some additional torque transfer to the rear in cornering conditions. So on dry road, you'll get more torque transfer to the rear. On GS, and this is really the fun driving mode, the GS button is at the top of that center stack closest to the driver. It adds an additional tweak to the damping. It'll make it even stiffer. In fact, it can be harsh on rough roads, so caution you on that. It increases steering efforts, does the same thing to the all-wheel drive. It doesn't change the shift points in the transmission, but it gets you through them more quickly, more precisely. And then it has an algorithm we call a PAL, Performance Algorithm Lift Foot. And what that is if you're hard into the throttle, say you're entering the highway on the entrance ramp, and in the right lane the guy you're coming up on slows down. As you lift your foot off the throttle, you won't get a gear change. You'll stay in that gear to give you a chance to maneuver out of that so you don't lose gear, then you have to get back in gear when you jump back on the throttle. So it holds your current gear state while you're maneuvering out of that situation. So really makes it fun to drive. So all-wheel drive on GS is the same system, except with interactive drive control, we change the characteristics a bit when you're in GS mode. Really makes it a fun to drive system. From an interior perspective, focusing on what's new and unique to GS, nav is standard. For 2014, the interior is just all black. In past years, we kind of a black gray configuration, so the interior is absolutely all black for 14. Leather sport seats with good bolster support to keep you firmly planted, and then racing-inspired steering wheel flat on the bottom, nice good cross-section of the wheel that feels good in your hands while you're driving in GS mode, and then metal sport pedals, so really focused on the driving experience. And then continuing on, so we talked about the 8-inch color display in the center stack. The GS has a the Regal has a 4.2-inch display. The GS gets a big 8-inch display, so 2 8-inch color screens in the GS. It's customizable, and you can take information back and forth and project what you want. There's actually 2 driving modes or display modes: Sport and Touring. We have them all set on Sport because I think it looks a bit cooler. It's got the analog speedometer. If you go into Touring, there's a digital speedometer that stays at the top at all time. If you're interested, we can switch it over, show you how to switch it this afternoon. And all this put together, we think, really creates a driver-centric orientation. That's our orientation. That was our vision. Right? So all-wheel drive, continuous damping control, interactive drive control, a nice, comfortable steering wheel, seat bolster support to keep it firmly planted, and then Buick IntelliLink, easily controllable. So everything is focused on the driver and the driving experience in GS. Now, from a safety and packaging perspective, Roger talked a little about it, so I'm going to fly through it. We do have rear camera standard. There are a couple safety packages. One is Driver Confidence 1. It's got all the content that Roger talked about: side blind zone, lane change alert, lane departure warning, forward collision alert, rear cross traffic alert. Really useful everyday safety technology that comes together in one package. And then if the customer chooses that, they can then option up if they're interested in full speed range, adaptive cruise control. It is full speed range. It will take you to 0 in the right conditions, and that comes with collision mitigation braking. So I think you add that together. I'm comfortable having a discussion against any of our competitors in this segment with an all-wheel drive GS with that safety package. We've got the features and drivability to really be in the conversation with any of the top competitors in the segment. Now, from this is on iChart. There's copies, if not at your table, back on the back tables. What we're trying to communicate here is we've simplified the ordering experience for the customer and for the dealer for both Regal and GS. The Regal really only comes in 3 flavors. The leather package, which is the standard content. You can then option up to the Premium 1, which adds some content to that. If you go to Premium 2, you get even an additional package. And then as an aside, the eAssist this year is available only with Premium 1, which is the high volume package. So we've kept eAssist focused on just one package that we think is a high volume package to make it easier to order. And then the GS comes with all that content. And then both Premium 2 and GS, you can option up to the Confidence 1 and Confidence 2 package. So really cut down on build complexity. So engineering and manufacturing, boy, we really love it. It helps us focus on quality. And we were number 3 in the J.D. Power initial quality survey, and things like this help us focus on improving that, to get to the top of that segment. So much reduced build complexity, much simpler ordering experience for the customer and for the dealer when they're going to order vehicles to keep on the lot. It really helps them